Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. It is your girl Alana Simone. So first of all, I wanted to welcome you guys in. I hope you're having an amazing day. So today we're going to be talking about don't compromise when things get hard or when things are uncertain in your life. And so what do I mean by that? I think oftentimes, sometimes, maybe, I guess for an example, sometimes people can go through life and they start getting on a journey. Maybe they started reconnecting back with God, and sometimes what happens is people think that it's going to be like an automatic switch, and that they decided to start pursuing a relationship with God, and everything in their life all of a sudden is just going to turn around, and it's just going to be this amazing thing. And so yes, for some people that happen, but some people it doesn't happen like that. And some people it just takes time to see things, start getting better in your life. But the people who, may have done that and haven't seen like instant changes, sometimes they'll start to, get discouraged. Sometimes they'll start even questioning, if God is real, or if he is going to do anything in their life, because they may have gave up some friends, they may have gave up some weed, some alcohol, whatever, clubbing, but they're not seeing immediate things. And so what happens is you're in like this like valley, you're in this like waiting period to try to see what's going to happen. And sometimes you can allow discouragement to get in, or sometimes this little let's call it a little bunny, starts to hop into your room. Then it hops up on your shoulder, and then it, puts its little mouth to your ear and says, compromise. And so what happens? You are like starting to contemplate compromising. You're like, actually, this really didn't work, because the bunny starts talking to you, and it's like, girl, it was so much better when you was just sleeping around with all these guys. Like, now you in the house bored by yourself, and you lonely? Ew, like, girl, you was having so much fun out there sleeping with all the little hot guys. They loved you. You was wilding out and doing all this stuff. But now you over here, you a homebody now? You in the house? Like, ooh, I don't really know. And so the bunny start talking to you, and it's like, girl, you like, well, I mean, I was a little hot girl out here, and the boys love me and all this stuff. And so now you start this thinking in your head, well, maybe this God thing isn't really all that. Maybe, if, I can just get out a little bit more, because I am lonely. It's been really boring in the house. And, I know I wanted to wait, but this waiting thing, I don't really know if it's for me. And so what happens? We start entertaining the word compromise. And compromise means to settle. Compromise causes you to forfeit the plans that God has for your life. And so unfortunately, oftentimes people find themselves in situations like that, and they decide to entertain that word. They decide to compromise. And unfortunately, what happens is they go back to the things that they want, decided to come out of. Or they go back to the things that, really they knew wasn't the best in their life, but because they allowed boredom to set in, they allowed loneliness to set in, they allowed the little bunny to talk in their ear, and tell them all these things about their past, or tell them all these things about how where they're at now is not good. They then decide to compromise. And it's just so sad, because so many people I see do this and don't even realize that if they would have kept on pushing, if they would have kept on just a little bit longer, what God was really doing in them and through them, and what he was about to bring them into. And so oftentimes people miss the thing that God was going to give them, or bring them into, or transform within them, that needed to be done. But because they decided to compromise, because they decided to be discouraged, they decided to cause loneliness to make them feel like, they needed somebody to fulfill that. But in result, you get somebody to fulfill that, and then you still feel lonely after. So it's just a constant cycle of never, feeling enough, or never feeling fulfilled. But we need to recognize that, first of all, our fulfillment should come from God. He can fulfill us with the things that we're desiring. And yes, it may not feel good sometimes on our journey with Him, and just going through life. But if you stay the course, if you keep on pushing through, in the end, you will reap a reward. You will reap good things in your life. And I think oftentimes people think it's supposed to be like material things or stuff like that, but it could be inner things. Like, you could be needing inner healing. You could be needing to release things from years that you've been holding on to. And, because you take the time in that season of waiting, you take that time in that season of being by yourself and really, trying to get on a new path with God, in that time, that's when He can do the work in us. That's when He can transform us from the inside out. But oftentimes we allow, the enemy to come in to discourage us and make us feel like we have to compromise and it's not really working out. But we don't really recognize what God is doing in our life because we're not seeing an outward expression of it necessarily. So recognize that and know that don't allow situation in your life, especially when you're like, on the journey and you're just like, and like that, you get to a point of uncertainty. You're like, it would, of course, temptation will come back. Of course, sometimes even familiar spirits will come back to try to convince you that, it was so much better on the other side. It was so much better in your sin and in your mess. But let me tell you, it's a lie from the enemy, because it's designed to keep you in bondage. It's designed to hold you back because, the enemy, first of all, the enemy, his ultimate plan for our life is to cause us to go down a path of destruction. Because why? In the end, he knows where he will end up, and that's hell. And so if he can take any and everybody with him, trust and believe, he will. If you knew that your end was going to be death, like, would you not want to take any and everybody with you because you feel like it's not fair? So that's basically how he feels. So he don't really care about you. But one thing he does care about is your soul. Just like God cares for it, he cares for it, because he knows if you decide to not compromise, he knows if you decide to not give up on your journey with God, where you could end up. And that's in a beautiful place in heaven with God. But he knows for him, unfortunately, he missed his chance. He got big in over his head. He decided to, think he was better than God. He decided to live a life that nobody could tell him nothing. And listen, you see his end result. So we don't want that for you. God doesn't want that for you. So know that you don't have to compromise. You don't have to settle. Things get hard. There's no, even on having a journey with God. I've had a journey with God my whole life, but it hasn't been easy. But the thing is, I haven't given up, because in the times where it wasn't easy, and the times where I felt discouraged, and the times where I felt like things weren't going my way, I still moved forward. I still pushed past that, because I knew at the end of the day, God knows the plans he has for me. He wants the best for me, despite how I feel in a moment. So today I just wanted to encourage somebody who feels like they're going to give up, who feels like they're on the verge of wanting to compromise. Don't do it. It's not worth it. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. Move forward. Push past this temporary feeling. Push past these feelings. There are so many videos that I made where you can learn how to encourage yourself, learn how to lift yourself up in moments where you feel down, where you feel discouraged. There are so many moments where I felt down, discouraged, like I was all alone. And I remember that I could lift myself up through praise, through worship, through prayer, through affirmations. Lift yourself up. And God will help lift you up when you spend time with him as well. So don't ever compromise. Things get hard. Life is hard sometimes, but that doesn't give us a reason to just quit on ourselves and quit on God and quit on the things, the plans. Because when we quit on him, we're quitting not only on him, but the plans that he has for our life, to prosper us, to give us a hope in the future, to give us an expected end. Don't quit. Don't give up. Don't compromise. God has so much more in store for you, and he loves you, and he wants the best for you. So you guys, I just wanted to share this with you today. You know, of course, the enemy and the little enemy's bunny, I'm giving the example, but really the bunny is like the enemy who kind of just comes and whispers in our ear and tells us all these little things to like tantalize us and make things pretty. But in the end, it's not worth it. In the end, in your time of despair, in your time of dismay, feeling dismayed, call on the name of Jesus, call on God, and know that he is there to help you make it through. So you guys, I thank you so much for being here, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.